What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. My man Corey Holcomb has weighed in on the Shannon Sharpe situation, right? We want to understand that Corey Holcomb, while he's not a hateful person, like he's not trying to be malicious in his content, you know, we're going to be real, man. Corey Holcomb, he don't have a lot of respect for Shannon Sharpe. I believe that he feels that Shannon Sharpe, you know, is living a bisexual lifestyle. He is phony. He is a booty clapper and all of that. Okay. But with all of that being said, Corey Holcomb gave a pretty good opinion in a review about what he thought was going on. And again, Corey Holcomb, which is a person that's, you know, he's very polarizing and all this stuff, he's always talked about participating in Hollywood and why he didn't really want a lot to do with it for reasons such as this. So what I want to do is, let's go ahead and review the clip. We're going to come back.
I don't believe none of this Shannon Sharpe. 1 week he getting $100 million. Next week, he gets sued for $50 million. He on Instagram Live, according to what the sounds say. All this, let me tell you something. Shannon Sharpe is never going to eclipse having Cat Williams on his show. Just stop it. Stop it. I believe this is all a publicity stunt. Who is the woman, how she look? Is she young for real? I want to know all the details before I get to thinking Shannon Sharpe really fighting somebody trying to get at him for $50 million, because I heard it's the lawyers that tried to get at Jay-Z. These lawyers are willing to play ball for money. This is a publicity stunt in my eyes. I do not believe Shannon Sharpe will anybody, but I do believe he will of people, because the media is allowed to lie with no consequence. If you don't know this, the media can give fake news. They can tell you anything they want to tell you. So I don't know nothing about Shannon Sharpe, and no woman. All I know, this is who I seen Shannon Sharpe with. He was at the Lakers game with the little boy who had the stretch pants denim on, who he claimed was his stylist. That is the only person I've seen him with out in the streets with some femininity to him.
And then he also points this out.
Fine. If he gets fired from ESPN, they fire black men for allegations, not actual charges, not actual he did it and was proven in court. They fire black men for allegations. If Shannon Sharpe gets fired off ESPN, I will believe that this story is real.
So the main part of this is, like, first of all, we know there is a racial element to Shannon Sharpe and Gabriella Zuniga and things like this. But the main thing that's important to know is that he's saying, listen, if this is really a sexual assault, why isn't this where it needs to be, which is in court? Okay, he's definitely insinuating that this needs to be not a civil case. This should indeed be a criminal case, and I agree. And he believes that Shannon Sharpe did not forcefully do this to anybody, and all of us know that he didn't, because if he forcefully did this, okay, then number one, she should have called the police. She should have had Shannon Sharpe arrested for that. And what this would have done is it would have given her a stronger resolution for a civil case. But the reality is that they didn't want to do that, and that's because a criminal case takes too long to develop. By the time you go through the criminal case, it might be 2 or 3 years. You know, if Shannon Sharpe is, you know, fired from his job, he's not able to pay. But the strategy would be that, hey, you know, if he's still working or he can settle out of court, it could be $10 million. All right. So you can get that $10 million, or if it's 50, you can say, okay, I'll do 20 million. And you know, hey, he's still working and he can pay that, and you can go on about your life and all of this. But the reality is that he's talking about black men get fired all the time for false allegations, right? This is something he always talks about on his show. Black men get fired for false allegations. And let's go ahead on and put, like we say back in the West Coast, 10s on 20s. Black men get fired for false allegations, especially when you are dealing with white women. Now, I'm gonna talk about all you brothers out there that have a good job. You know, you work in what is known as corporate America. You know, this is what you're doing. And I do understand a lot of brothers is doing that. And I got a lot of respect for the brothers that work in corporate America, okay? And I understand that when you do work in corporate America, you know, it is very easy for, you know, like I said, a lot of black men, you know, you're talking to a lot of white people all the time, right? The higher you go up, you know, especially if you're doing something professional, like getting the MBA, if you're working internationally, you're in the military, you might not always be dealing with black women, and I understand you're gonna have these relationships, okay? But at no level should you ever believe that because you're successful, that because you got things popping, or any of those situations, that somehow this means that, you know, you're equal to what's going on, or you can make the same mistakes that other folks can make. And that's the problem with a lot of black men, is that we start to believe that because we're able to get on with ESPN, or we're able to get on with a Fortune 500 company, or top Fortune 50 company, or we're executive level, or we might be in the business colleagues. All it takes is for somebody Caucasian to say that you did something and you're out, because you got to understand, as a black man, you are still going to be a threat to white men if you're doing well. And I'm going to tell you like this. Shannon Sharpe, he's a black man. He's making money for ESPN. Cool, right? But Shannon Sharpe also has his own situation. He has Club Shay Shay. He has his own alcoholic beverages company. He's starting his own enterprise. You mean to tell me that what Shannon Sharpe is doing isn't affecting somebody else? He's a threat to people. He's working with usually his people to build this income. And you know what I said, Chad Johnson, Gilbert Arenas, that black economy that we're seeing online, you know, and then you're also dibbling and dabbling with the ESPNs of the world, and you're coming back and you're getting that unknown resources that nobody saw in the black community. People don't like that. Then you're turning back around and you're dealing with the white women that a lot of these white men want to deal with. And that's how Kobe almost got caught up. Again, when you're dealing with white women that these white men want, I mean, you know, it might be a little different if it's, you know, the Paul with the 50-inch booty, you know what I'm saying? But this is a white lady, and Gabriella Zuniga, I know she's Hispanic, but she's a European Hispanic. She is, for all intents and purposes, white, okay? They don't want to see you or me dealing with women that look like that, because that's not really supposed to be for us. You're supposed to be over there with your chicks. First of all, you living over in our neighborhoods. I don't even care if it's your money or not. You in our neighborhoods. You working on our networks, okay? And then the chicks that's supposed to be for us, you think that's okay for you to deal with. Okay, so the first time you have a mistake, we gonna be on that. The first time you got a situation, we gonna be on that. And we gotta let you know that you shouldn't be over here dealing with our chicks like that. It just shouldn't be going down, and it's not gonna be going down. We need to make an example out of you. And so many black men go through this and get made an example out of. Look at what happened to OJ. Yeah, we let you in the club, but nobody told you to go out there and get the chicks that we wanted. Look at Bill Cosby. You in the club, but you need to be like the spook that sat by the door. You're not supposed to be actively in here booty clapping it up with our women. Like, no, and like nobody told you to do that. So now that you're going and doing that and you're exercising that, now we got to show you that what you're doing is not cool. So now, step away from ESPN. We're going to snatch that podcast deal from you, and we're going to force you. If you're going to come up, we're going to make you work with your people to do it. We're going to make you go underground. And that's the message that Corey Holcomb has been preaching, even O'Shea. Look at Tariq. Almost all of us dudes have got what we got. I mean, they're way more successful than me by just working with our people. We, like I said, we can't get fired from no ESPN. We can't, you know, like I said, you can't take nothing from us because we didn't got it with our community. And to be fair, that they would probably rather prefer that. And once black men start realizing that, you probably get more. Because again, once you get one of them allegations, it's corporate. You gotta go. They can't deal with you, man. When you said, like, you know, oh, the white woman is saying you're doing all this stuff, man, they gotta let you go. They have to let you go. Even if they want to keep you there, they can't keep you there. They gotta let you go. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy Usher Jackson back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. I appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.